Welcome to DABCC Radio,
where smart people listen.
Virtualization and Cloud Talk,
Featuring cutting-edge solutions from the hottest companies around the globe.
broadcasting from the DABCC offices in sunny Sarasota, Florida.
Surrounded by computers, books, and Legos.
A Microsoft MVP, Citrix Charter CTP, VMware vExpert.
And your host, Douglas Brown.
Hello and welcome to DABCC Radio. We have a great show for you today, guys. We really do. We have Goliath Technologies on the line, and Goliath is if you're not familiar with these guys, they make some really great solutions around login performance, around performance in general, all geared around Citrix technologies. And it's just, they're really a NetScaler. This is great technology. And the company was founded with the idea of let's spot areas that are problematic and let's fix them. It's sort of a novel idea, right? But they've done it, and they've done it in a very interesting fashion too. We have two gentlemen on. We have the founder and CEO, a gentleman named Thomas, and we have the engineering side of it represented by a gentleman named Raja. And Raja has been in the industry a long time. And so he comes with this administrator attitude, mindset, right? Where he's looking at it from the administrator side of things and what he wished he had in solving these problems. I'm getting way ahead of myself, guys, but this is really neat technology. And what else do I say? Let's just dive into it. They'll explain everything. I don't need to, right? So again, I'm really excited to have Goliath Technologies with us. Raja and Thomas, and with no further ado, let's just dive into it. Okay, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We've been wanting to put this together for quite some time, and I'm really excited to actually have press record. So we're going to do this thing, and you guys have some neat technology. So I've been chomping at the bit to hear all about it. So on that note, let's dive into this. And as always, my first question is, who are you, and what do you do? So let's take Thomas first. Thomas, who are you, and what do you do over at Goliath?
So this is Thomas Charlton. I lead the team over at Goliath Technologies.
And Thomas, you have an interesting past. So tell us about your past. Tell us who you are. Tell us about your past a bit.
So I've been in the software industry now for about 20 years. Goliath Technologies is my sixth software company. I've done a lot of work over the years with investment private equity firms and venture capital-backed companies. And this is the first venture that's privately held that we've capitalized as a management team.
Very cool, very cool. Raja, who are you?
So, Doug, my name is Raja. I'm the VP of Product Management here at Goliath Technologies. I've been actually in the IT field for almost 15 years now, working with Citrix, working with virtualization that whole time. And, I have to say, I'm actually pretty excited to get this conversation going and talk a little bit about what we're doing here at Goliath Technologies, some of that cool technology you referenced a few moments ago, and excited to get going.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys do some cool stuff. And it doesn't surprise me that you come from the Citrix world, because what impresses me about Goliath is you guys are fixing problem areas that still exist in the way that we the administrator would like them fixed, and those are the type of tools that I'm seeing from you guys, which is really interesting, versus, hey, we have a solution, figure out where it fits in your company, right? We know where your stuff solves problems. I'm getting ahead of myself, but Thomas, so why did you tell us a bit about Goliath themselves? It's why did you found the company? What's your goal? And then, of course, what are you guys doing?
We look for gaps in established markets, and we approach those gaps in incumbent vendors, feature and functionality gaps with technology that's designed to fill those gaps with a price or performance advantage. So relative to Citrix, if you think about it, the large vendors, IBM, BMC, CA, etc., they all have monitoring technologies, for example, but they don't have something that's purpose-built for Citrix. And so what we do is build technologies that are custom for those particular areas, and then we find ways to take that data and information and flow it up through those large platform vendors.
Makes sense, and that's exactly what I said. I mean, you obviously articulated much better than I did, but you're finding those gaps and you're filling them, and this is what excites me about what you guys do, and of course about this podcast today, because we're going to talk about those gaps, and then of course how you're solving those problems. So, to sort of start that off, let's talk a bit about what are the most common issues that you're seeing within the Citrix world, the customer related problems and end user experience in general.
Well, I think if you talk to any 100 Citrix administrators, they would tell you that the issues, if they got 100 calls, 99 of them would be calls from users that are in one of three stages of using Citrix: logon initiation, logon duration, or session performance. And so what we've done is build very deep technology to help them be proactive and be able to anticipate issues that end users will have with initiating a logon to Citrix, during the logon process, or identifying slowness or bottlenecks there, and then issues relative to their session performance. So that's really what we do, is focus on those three key areas, which are critical areas for systems administrators, because at the end of the day, it's all about the end user experience with Citrix.
Yeah, no, you got that right. In the old days, people would say Citrix sucks, and Citrix didn't suck. Citrix was phenomenal. It was a bunch of other factors that created the issues, and we know, and back then we didn't have the tools, we didn't have the insight, as Raja remembers, into what's going on. So I like what you guys are doing from that. How do you accomplish this? Can you describe, your products, and then two, what they do and how you're actually solving these issues you talked about?
Yeah, and I'd like to make a point, and then I'll turn it over to Raja to talk about technically how we solve this. But to your point, Doug, people might say Citrix is slow or Citrix is a problem, but that's because that's the name they see on the screen. Many times, it's the supporting and underlying infrastructure that Citrix relies upon to deliver a great end user experience. And what we do is incorporate Citrix elements with the underlying elements, or the underlying and supporting infrastructure that can cause Citrix slowness or latency or something like that. And we pull that all up into one central console. So when something goes wrong and somebody's pointing the finger at Citrix, we can actually get the finger pointed in the right direction, generally away from Citrix and to the actual root cause.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, Doug, I think this actually came from one of our customers in the legal field, but they said, we help them because we're actually on the Citrix defense team at the end of the day. We give them the objective evidence that they need to prove that it's not a Citrix issue. Show that it's not Citrix, and then point them directly in the direction that the problem actually come from. And so, going forward back to your the question originally, Doug, is that the technology that we have really kind of fits into a couple specific areas. We've got three main technologies that we bring to market: the Goliath Logon Simulator, the Goliath for NetScaler, and the Goliath Performance Monitor. And this allows us to provide end-to-end visibility from the end user, whether it's a real user or a simulated user, which is actually really cool stuff that we do, all the way through the NetScaler, through the Citrix delivery infrastructure, and into the back end, and then the underlying infrastructure supporting it. So we can help you find exactly where the true root cause is.
Very cool. I totally agree with you. I've always said that Citrix amplifies your environment. So if you have an issue, some congested, wire, well, Citrix is going to point that out to you, and
exactly.
It's truly the case. So, okay. So you have the Logon simulator, you have the Goliath for NetScaler, and you have the performance monitoring solution. Let's dive into each of these things, right? Well, first of all, do they work together? Is it a suite of solutions? Can you describe that?
Yeah, absolutely. They certainly work together for sure. starting with the Goliath Logon Simulator, first of all, it's integrated into the performance monitor. And that's one of the key things that makes it different, unique, and really provide an advantage for our customers. The cool thing with the Goliath Logon Simulator is it has the ability to give you better than real-time information. And they're very simply, when you talk about getting proactive and real-time, there's nothing more proactive and nothing better than real-time than doing it before your users actually walk in the door and find problems. That's exactly what the Logon Simulator does. What makes it somewhat unique is the fact that it actually has a capability to initiate those logons, whether it's remote, outside of the NetScaler in a remote facility or on a hosted platform in the cloud on Amazon or Azure, and then follow the same process your users do. And what's really interesting about it is that it's not emulating a connection. It's not creating a fake session. It's not skipping any of the steps that your users go through. It's exercising that entire workflow to confirm that Citrix is truly available. And in that process, because it's fully integrated into Performance Monitor, if we trip something off, like for instance, there's a config problem and the NetScaler you can't actually reach the NetScaler, or NetScaler can't hit the storefront, or storefront can't talk to the domain controllers or the delivery controllers or your Citrix data stores, it's going to pick that up for you before your users walk into it. So it gives you a better way to get visibility into that. And then it fits right in with the rest of the technology because the performance monitor is going to find out and pick up all those events that take place. So whether those specific conditions that are occurring, we're going to identify that for you, alert you to that. And if relevant, we're also going to help you remediate those conditions automatically too. So they fit together really well there. And then with the NetScaler technology, this is something that's pretty exciting. It has a capability to not just break down the data of the sessions and what's going through those NetScalers, but allows you to collaborate with that information too, and then send it on to any other technologies, whether it's a CA or an HP or a SCOM or even the performance monitor. So you can see the information that you need to, break it down the way you have to, and then live share it to other administrators to collaborate on a solution. And then the performance monitor kind of underpins both of those, and then allows you to go through the entire stack from the Citrix session layer all the way down through to the application, the Windows, the hypervisor, and the rest of the supporting infrastructure that you're trying to deliver to those end users.
Very interesting. So it's the software? Is it a SaaS solution? How do I deploy this? How do I implement it?
Yeah, so it's totally a software solution. The way that it works is, we have our management software, the Goliath server, and those components that sit in your data center. And we have the ability to deploy both an agentless and agent-based technologies as it's relevant to capture the key information that's going to allow you to take action and identify root cause where the problems are really coming from. Some of the data that we're gathering actually doesn't sit into any kind of nicely packaged API. We're actually getting really cool information, especially around Citrix session and connection performance and end user experience metrics that really no one else is gathering. And we do that because we've got very specific and tight integrations. We use our intelligent agent to accomplish that. And we fit that together with all the rest of the data.
Very interesting. So when would I use these products? The Logon Simulator, do I use them all together? At what point of the cycle of deployment? Can you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when we talk to our customers and they're running into some of these challenges, they're going to use it in a couple different ways. One, they're going to certainly use it for troubleshooting, right? They've got a problem. There's something going wrong. They need to figure out why is it happening. They don't have a lot of time to go around the entire process of trying to figure out the root cause of it. We're going to help you get there a lot faster because we're pulling all the data from all those layers together. We certainly are going to have customers that are giving this out to their help desk. Got users calling in saying that Citrix is slow or the logon took too long or they can't get into Citrix. And so they've got the screen up on their page. They type in search. They can look up that user and then drill right down into what the user experienced and what they faced. And we've also got architects and engineers and management using this technology to make decisions about what's been happening in the environment so far for planning purposes. And we talk about the life cycle of Citrix itself in an organization. We've got customers using this technology during the pilot phases and initial phases of rollout to speed up that process, especially because, there's so many different little issues that occur. The engineers can plan as much as they can, but when you get your real users in the environment, it takes time. You can get stymied in that process of rollout. And we're going to help you get past that phase a lot faster with our technology. And then certainly when it gets into production, and then help desk as well as passing information up to management to how things are working. We actually also just got off of a call working with a couple of customers in the insurance industry where they had to do audits on users in the environment. So pulling back data about user behavior, where were they, what were they doing for certain time frames. And so you can pull that kind of more user behavior specific information out of the technology as well. Because, very simply, because they have to come into Citrix and we know exactly what their sessions are doing, we can provide that kind of data too.
Perfect. Are they standalone? So if I wanted to only use the Logon Simulator, can I?
Absolutely, yeah. And we have a number of customers doing exactly that. In fact, some of our customers are using our hosted platform. One of them is an airline that actually has agents sitting in airports. Also, there are also reservation agents that are working from home. They need to figure out what's happening with those users and confirm they can get access. Well, we have a hosted platform as well that they leverage, where they can actually confirm that coming in from outside, objectively speaking, Citrix is truly up and available. And that's the Logon Simulator. They use that by itself. And the same thing is true for the other technologies too.
Very interesting. So you have a hosted version of the Logon Simulator. Can you talk a bit more about that? How do I use that?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the way that the hosted Logon Simulator works is that we have a hosted platform where we can actually host the Logon Simulator endpoints, signing into the actual your Citrix environment. Now, there's a couple of customers that we've done this with, like American Airlines, and the challenges that they faced is, one, they have to go and get the resources, security opened up to actually deploy a solution and test it, and that's a challenge for them. The other thing is that their users are all coming in from outside, and because those users are coming in from either from home or coming in from an airport when they're working on a machine that American Airlines doesn't own, standing on a piece of property that American Airlines doesn't own, it becomes difficult for them to get an idea of what those users are experiencing. They can't put anything out there to see them. And they can't put anything internally because it's a bit of a challenge to get that process going. So they use the hosted Logon Simulator because they have it set up to run from each of the different time zones where their agents are working from and get an idea of what is it working like from that environment. It gives them the ability to very quickly say, hey, you know what? Citrix is working fine. If there's a problem that's taking place, it's on your end. We need to talk to the actual airports and the IT staff there. We're fine. We're completely 100% up. So it makes it very fast and easy for them to be able to go and say, here's where the problem is. It's not with Citrix. It's not with us. It's working totally fine. It's a better way of saying the environment's truly available.
Very
so
cool.
A lot, especially for external users and people coming in from outside, it's a fantastic way to get that kind of confirmation.
Very interesting. So in how do I do that? So I log into the admin console and then I say I want to kick off 100 sessions. Can you describe what it takes to actually create the load?
Yeah, and so actually, here's the thing. It's a little bit different from, say, a load simulator where you can't really run that in production. You're creating load on an environment and it's going to create issues, right? You don't want that, but you want to make sure it's going to work properly. That's really where the Logon Simulator fits in. See, the way that our customers do it, and first of all, there's no script. It's really super simple. You just need to have the user's name, need to have the address for the NetScaler they're going to come through, and the application or desktop they want to launch. Really just those three pieces of data, and we automate the rest of it. All the harder part of executing that workflow and how it actually executes, we do that for you. We've already engineered all that in, so you just need to give us those three quick pieces of data, and we take care of the rest. So you come into the console, you plug in that information, and you have it scheduled to run. So in healthcare, where they have 24/7 operations, American Airlines, like I just mentioned, where they've got a 24/7 operation, we actually plug that information in, and these simulations will start running every 10 to 15 minutes consecutively, 24 hours a day, to confirm that Citrix is truly available. We plug in maintenance period when we know that Citrix is going to have maybe downtime frames or portions of the environment should be down. And we have it set up to follow those periods of time, and it just runs. Don't have to worry about it. Just give us those three pieces of data. We'll kick off reports so you know what's happening. We give you alerts the moment that something goes wrong. And especially in healthcare where they're so sensitive to the timing, right? Where even 2 to 3 extra seconds to get into Citrix matters. This gives objective baseline as to what it's like for users to sign into that environment. So, especially when you talk about certain EMR, EHR vendors where they've got to have strict guidelines and SLAs around logon times, it's got to be within 12 seconds, within less than 16 seconds to sign in. We can confirm you're able to achieve that. And so that's how they use the Logon Simulator, signing in all the time, every 15 minutes. And the moment something goes down, you're the first to know about it. Because if you think about it, for engineers, if something happens with Citrix that affects, everybody, the workflow is not working right, something has changed in the environment, it can take, 30 minutes, an hour more before you know that there's a global event taking place. It's dependent upon the help desk to recognize they're getting a certain volume and then kick it up to the Citrix folks. Well, with the Logon Simulator in place, whether it's the hosted or even on-premise, you're going to know the second everything goes down. We're actually working with a customer of ours, and they're global users. Everything is co-located to an extent. Data centers are inside of separate facilities now for these big, large organizations. So effectively, every user is remote. Well, if something goes down there, every user can't get into Citrix. And so this happened to one of the customers. Now, they had GSLB with the NetScalers working, so it failed over to DR. But the second that it happened, everyone knew that the entire environment was down. They couldn't get into the primary site, and that here's where the problem was taking. They didn't have to go calling around to all the other offices to find out, is it up? Is it working for you? Who's down? Is it this office that's down? Is this type of user down? All the data's right there straight away. In just a single glance, they had all that information. Saves a lot of time, especially when you have those types of massive potential outages. You can oftentimes even cache them before even users experience it.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So it's not a load simulator. Don't confuse it with a load simulator. No. It doesn't put on. I mean, you say it's an actual user. So does it log in as that user? Would that put load on?
Absolutely. So I mean, yeah, to an extent, it creates load in the sense that it's a normal user's load, right? Yeah. So if you think about it in the sense of actually, Doug, I don't know if you remember, there is a module for Edge Site called Active Application Monitoring. Yep. It's very much similar to that, but we've added in support for the NetScaler. And we've done a lot of automation that supports Zen Desktop. We have alerts around it and reporting. So it's very much like that. And so it's exercising that entire workflow from the very, very beginning. And what's cool is when you look at it from the performance monitor side, because we're doing the API integrations to Citrix, we pick up those simulated sessions too. We look at it as an actual user. Yeah. So we're getting the numbers of what's the network latency, what's the connection speed for that user coming in, what was the IC round trip times and the bandwidth utilization, and all those other characteristics to get an idea of what's it like.
Yeah, so it's just another user. It's just If you have 10 users, now you have 11 users.
Exactly.
Right. Very interesting. And then you run this at all times, or not all times, but like you said, in 15-minute in intervals. It's not something you run, when you're setting things up and then forget it, right? It's constant.
I mean, we do have customers that set up in a number of different ways, just like around 24/7. But we have some other customers where they'll actually go and have it set up to run at 6 a.m. every single morning, make sure everything's working okay, maybe following maintenance periods to test out when they do the rollout, following reboot schedules. We had a customer of ours that they have, actually this customer is out, they're located in the Chicago area. They've got end users and customers that are a hosting provider for Citrix or a Citrix CSP in New York that get started early in the morning. Well, when they get in the office at 6 a.m., these guys are still asleep at 5 a.m. Of course, I mean, most people are. So when something doesn't work with Citrix, they're getting phone calls and woken up out of bed at 5 a.m. on Monday morning. It's horrible. So they set this up to start running at Sunday night, catch any kind of event that happens, maybe even at 3 a.m., so they can get woken up by the technology, if anything at all, and address the problem before they get woken up by an angry person on the East Coast. So it makes it for a lot better of a Monday morning for those guys.
You got it. Can you put load on it? Can you kick off 100 sessions at once if you choose?
We have some customers that do exactly that. We obviously that's going to be something you'd want to do more in a or primary hours or during the pilot phases and things like that. And so one of the big differentiators is that we do continue to do that if you want us to in production. You're using those Citrix load evaluators to allow us to distribute the load out there and all the concurrent sessions as you need to.
Perfect. And I wanted to ask you about, what it takes to get up and running in the sense of what's the architecture look like? What type of, do I need dedicated servers? What does it take? I like it. I want to do it. Now what?
So it's really easy to get it up and running. At the end of the day, it takes about half an hour to get this up and set up in the environment. With the hosted Logon Simulator, it's even faster than that. It takes about 10 minutes to get going. You don't need anything at all, just a set of credentials for us to use to sign in. With the on-premise deployment of the Logon Simulator, again, it's about 30 minutes. We need a Windows VM, but then you just need to have a browser and Citrix receiver and our software installed. It takes about 30 minutes to get up and running, and you can have the simulations running and giving you that true assurance that Citrix is truly available.
That's great. That's great. So let's get into some specifics, if I could spit out that word, for each of these and some use cases. So login initiation.
Yep. Yeah, so that's really where the Logon Simulator fits in, right? It's that confirmation that Citrix is truly up and running, a better sense of if it's available or not. I mean, the tried and true methods of pinging servers and checking make sure services are there, are up and running or not, it's good. But that's not going to really tell you if Citrix is working or not. It's not going to exercise that workflow to make sure that the two pieces are working together. And for that matter, you can have components of Citrix be down, but still be able to deliver Citrix to your end users, which is, at the end of the day, that's what upper management cares about. Is the environment available? You can have half of it down and still be able to achieve that goal. And Citrix, the Logon Simulator, is able to communicate that because it's exercising that workflow. Something's down, we'll identify it. If you're getting those gray screen types of events where you go to potentially a black hole type of an issue with the server, we'll identify that for you as well. So you get a better sense that will Citrix be successful for your users?
Login duration.
So login duration is something really cool that we're doing now. EdgeSet used to have that great 23-stage breakdown of all the different stages from the delivery controller perspective, the Citrix receiver. Now with 7.x, with Insider Directory, they're getting some more information, categorizing them more along the lines of profiles and group policy. Well, we took the best part of what's with 7.x, that nice quick breakdown, the really important data, because what we see with a lot of customers is when they have problems on the delivery controller side with either boot storms or concurrent users, you need that old edge site visibility, which you can't get anymore. Well, we brought it forward, and it works with 7.x. We brought that data together, and then we actually, when the handoff takes place to the session host, we're breaking down every single policy that gets executed, how long it takes, the domain controller it goes to. So we have a quick view, take one glance, and not just identify why is it wrong, why is it taking a long time, but where you need to go to actually fix the problem. So one quick glance to actually resolve those types of logon duration issues.
Then probably one of the most important things is session performance.
Yeah, Citrix, the session performance issues, it's, the ubiquitous, Citrix is slow or Citrix appears to be slow. This is really where the performance monitor comes together, along with the Goliath for NetScaler. The cool thing with the Goliath for NetScaler is that you can break down those sessions between the execution of the connection from the client side up to the NetScaler versus from the NetScaler to the back-end server side. And with a quick look, you can determine, hey, is there something wrong on my server side that I need to worry about, or is it totally on the end user side of the connection? We were actually working with a customer of ours, and one of their end users was complaining about slowness in the morning every single day, right around the 8 o'clock mark. So we said, okay, we'll sit down with you. Let's get the user on the phone. Let's find out what's happening. Got into the NetScaler console, the Goliath for NetScaler console, brought up their session, just typed in their name, popped right up. We saw, okay, client-side performance, it got really bad right at 7:59. We could track what was happening minute by minute. Well, they said, oh, you know what, 7:59, that's when I go underground. Well, obviously, when you go underground, it's going to start getting bad, and you don't have great connection. As it is, you're over a 4G connection, but you go underground, your jitter goes askew, the round-trip times get really high, and they had information right there. They can now, because it was so able to fixate down to those specific point in time, they could identify what the user's behavior was at that point in time and why it was slow. Now, the other side of section performance, we start getting into the performance monitor side of things. We actually had a customer of ours. This was a service provider in the engineering space. So they were using grid cards. They were trying to deliver, heavy applications like AutoCAD and Revit and some other ones. Well, some of their users, they were working from remote locations. They had highly latent connections. They're really slow. They're trying to figure out, we can't give them grid cards to do really heavy CAD operations, but they need to be able to get delivered all the other tools that they're using. What are we going to do to make the experience better? Well, we need to be able to identify who those users are, and maybe we can give them FrameHawk. So they use our technology to quickly identify what are the users that are having highly latent connections that would benefit from FrameHawk, making sure along the way that they aren't in a segment of the environment or on a set of resources that is also having problems. It has to only be those users that are having simply latency connect problems. If there's some other infrastructure issue, they'll fix it. But if it's just latency problems, they want to identify it and make sure that those users have a good experience. So that's exactly what they use the technology for. There was another one of our customers, a hospital, that had users complain that every single Friday from 10 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it was slow. And they were complaining every single Friday. And this was a hospital. So when those doctors would get frustrated, they would be able to walk out the door, go to the hospital across the street, and set up and take their patients with them. They're not going to deal with it. So the problem the Citrix team had is we can't prove that it's not Citrix. We can't prove where the problem is. So they deployed our technology, instantly started getting alert notifications to storage latency issues. That's great, but it doesn't point them in the direction that it's not Citrix. So they brought up the screen, typed in the user's name, saw the connection performance, saw what the ICA channel behavior was. They weren't doing anything abnormal like watching movies or bringing up Netflix or YouTube. Saw what the application was doing at that time, saw the resource allocation, CPU memory looked good, and then saw that storage latency for that user was huge. So they can prove that it wasn't Citrix in all the ways that it possibly could be. And then the one area where it actually was a storage problem. Handed back to the storage team, they went back and took a look at it, and guess what? They had snapshot-based backups taking place. But without that full range of visibility, they wouldn't have had the necessary evidence to stop people from saying, well, you have to look at this. You have to look at the networking side. You have to look at the Citrix servers. Well, what's happening with their connection? We eliminated all of those other variables and focused on just the one area where a problem took place.
Very interesting. I love it. I love it. So do you guys do you give them all this data, or do you actually also say, like, hey, this, for example, X is happening and you should probably do this? Anything like that? Yeah,
so there's a couple ways that we do it. There's some automation that we do. There's also some knowledge-based information that we build in with our alert resolution feature. So I'll give you a good example of this. So we have a couple customers that have some problems that can occur. They have some known conditions with certain applications. They can start leaking CPU and memory, and it can cause, in a CNAPP environment, published application, shared architecture environment, those can start affecting other users' experience. So we're going to identify that there's a problem with that application, send off the alarm, people know there's an issue, but then we can go and fix the problem too. We can go and kill that application, we can bring it offline, go through the sequence to bring it back online and bring it up for the user to start using again. So we can automate that whole remediation action to resolve it. And the data, the way that we lay it out, if they have to go through this entire process that I was speaking about a few moments ago, we have it in a very logical fashion. You start with the user. You don't have to go guessing which server they were on, what part of the architecture. And when you click on that user, it chains everything together respective to where they were in the environment, so you can see exactly where the problem was taking place. And the other part of it is the alert resolution feature I mentioned. So a lot of the times, you have a couple architects that are really familiar with the environment. They have a great grasp of what's taking place. They can take a look at something. They know what's going wrong, and they can fix it quickly. The problem is, the larger the environment, the less time those people have to actually get hands-on with it. And so we allow you to either take the information that we've developed and have it in the knowledge base, as well as your resident knowledge that you have about your environment, some of the particular things that happen in your architecture, put that in the technology, so when a problem happens, the help desk person, level 1, level 2, it pops up right on their screen. They can see, here's the issue, here's how you fix it, or here's how you work around, here's how you communicate it back to the end user, or here's what you do to actually execute the process to getting it resolved. So you end up democratizing the entire resolution process, support process, and making sure that you do so in a consistent manner every single time.
That's great. That's great. I love it. You do a great job explaining it too, Raja. That's great. So I want to jump into the last couple questions, but before we do that, did I leave anything out? Anything else you'd like to, before we get into competition in the future?
Yeah, one of the other key areas is healthcare. And, one of the challenges in the healthcare space specifically is, as it pertains to Citrix, is that, the doctors I mentioned a couple times, they see Citrix as a logo on the screen. They see slowness taking place. And the challenge there is to get to the bottom of and to the root cause. You have to see not just Citrix, because, that's the perspective through which they're calling up and saying there's a problem. You have to also bring in the underlying infrastructure, of course, whether it's VMware or physical architecture. But there's a third piece there. You have to bring in the actual application itself, and that's exactly what we do. Beyond integrations into Citrix that we've been talking about this whole time, and virtualization and other architecture layers, we also bring in visibility to the app, the healthcare application itself, with some specific integrations that we've done there to tie it all together and provide the visibility necessary to identify, is it a problem in the application? Is it a problem with Citrix? Is it a problem with the underlying infrastructure? So that really ends up helping and empowering those administrators in healthcare to get to that root cause as fast as possible to identify exactly what's happening. There's a couple integrations that we've done. We've done one for Meditech. We're coming out with one we're going to be launching for Cerner, as well as coming out in the future with Epic 2. We're working with those folks right now on putting together something that we're going to be able to release.
That's really neat what you guys are doing. I'm glad you brought that up, Raja. Can you describe a bit what you're doing in a little bit more, because it's not just you have a module that works with it. You're actually placing, like, for example, maybe can you give us the Cerner example where you're placing your agents in their farms?
Yeah, Doug, this is Thomas. So relative to Cerner, we have developed this module in conjunction with UHS, which I believe is the third or in the top 5 largest healthcare management companies in the United States. And so Cerner has a technology they call Cerner Works, which is a very good technology, and Cerner has a great command of their data center, and they give great information and support to their customers. There is a gap, however, in terms of end user experience visibility at the customer location. So what we have done in conjunction with UHS and North Bay, and now we're deployed at over 30 hospitals, is we're able to put our technology in the Cerner data center on XenApp servers for very specific customers and have the Logon Simulator at the remote hospital locations. So now they can complement the hospitals can complement Cerner's command of their data center with a better command of the end user experience and hospital infrastructure, so that together, if there is an issue, and issues pop up from time to time with every application, especially hosted, they're able to collaborate much, much more effectively. From a hospital point of view, many times these problems are not within the Cerner data center. There are issues between the Cerner data center and, most importantly, the hospital location. Maybe it's end user error, for example, and now that can be determined. So we took that and focused on the end user experience as in addition to what is currently available through Cerner.
Very cool. So you're really giving insights into some of these SaaS apps. Let's call them SaaS apps, right? It's a hosted app, and that customers have really never been able to see before, because it's off-prem for them, right?
Yeah, and just, beyond Cerner, as Raja mentioned, we've really developed modules for every major application in the marketplace, with the exception of Epic, and we're in the process of developing that and going through the product specifications. With that, we have a number of hospitals that are lined up as design partners, and we are working with Epic now to develop that module. So Allscripts, Meditech, T-Systems, Siemens, Cerner, etc.
That's great. Raja, thank you for bringing that up. I was remiss in adding that to my list of questions, the things to learn about and talk about. But that's really interesting what you guys are doing, and it just, again, it fills a gap that was currently just completely empty. That's wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Just wonderful. So unless there's anything else, let's get into competition. Sound good?
Sure.
So there's tons of guys out there doing what you guys do, saying what you guys say. Why should we listen to you? Why should we care about what you're bringing to the table versus everyone else?
Well, I think when you talk about competition, especially in monitoring, what makes a great monitoring technology has less to do with the technology and more to do with the customer requirements. So I wouldn't say that we're the best technology out there for every environment, but I would tell you that what differentiates us is if you're a Citrix organization, especially a healthcare organization, and you're having issues with end users having trouble initiating a logon or a logon process or in session performance, there just isn't an organization out there that gets the level of metrics that we do. There isn't an organization that has a logon simulation capability that navigates and exercises the entire Citrix delivery infrastructure, and importantly, is fully integrated with a monitoring product. Without that, you can say that there might be a logon problem, but you certainly can't say where the logon problem is. In terms of the logon duration, there are a number of companies that can say there's a problem with logon duration slowness at one or two particular stages. But if you can't drill down to the 33 different stages and substages of the logon process, you can't effectively isolate the root cause, and consequently makes it more difficult to remediate, and you certainly can't put into place permanent fix actions. And relative to session performance, HDX and ICA are extremely important to be able to drill down into those. I don't know of another technology. The feedback from our customers who evaluate these technologies don't know of another technology out there that gives you the ability to drill down into and parse out the separate channels that comprise HDX and ICA. And without that, you certainly can't click on a user, I isolate that particular user that's having a problem and let them know that if they turn off the streaming audio or Netflix, they'll be able to get a better experience with the application. There isn't another technology that gives you the ability to do that. So that's really where we differentiate ourselves. Then finally, in healthcare, we are the only company out there that has modules built for all of the major EMR, EHR applications, and certainly the only one with anything close to being having the capability that we do for Cerner.
That's phenomenal. That's a great answer. Great answer, Thomas. The future. So you guys have mentioned, the Epic module coming soon or in the future. Anything else you can talk about where you guys are going?
Well, we built the company through a combination of acquisitions and organic development, and we'll continue to do that with a focus on IT operations technologies that help administrators who are consistently dealing with the dynamic transition from physical to virtual, both desktop as well as server, and the centralization of applications into the cloud, whether they're public clouds or internal clouds. So we'll continue to bring out IT operations tools that are easy to use, easy to deploy, and are designed to make our end user customer, the IT administrator at large, make their day-to-day lives quite a bit easier.
Very cool, guys. That's what I have for you. So if there's, I'll go ahead and give you the last word. But thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today and share, what you guys are doing. It's very interesting technology, and like you mentioned, like I mentioned, you're filling those holes out there and those gaps and solving problems. And kudos to you on that. So I'll give you the last word and say thank you.
Yeah, Doug, thanks so much for having us and having this conversation. We really enjoyed the opportunity to talk with you about the challenges that our customers face from a Citrix perspective and getting down to those root causes. Looking forward to hearing some of your future podcasts as well, Doug.
Absolutely. And one more question I forgot. I always forget this one, and that is if somebody wants to learn more, what do they need to do?
The best thing for them to do is go out to our website, www.goliathtechnologies.com. They can certainly hit us up on LinkedIn or Twitter. They can shoot us an email at techinfo@goliathtechnologies.com as well. But we encourage you to use our social media. I encourage you to visit the website. There's a ton of material out there with webinars and things that we're doing and new announcements that are going to be taking place in the next couple months as well. We've got a couple events with the CUGC that are going to be taking place. And some cool announcements that are going to be on the horizon.
Yeah, and for the guys listening, these guys Goliath does a lot of really great webinars. So, and they every month they're doing 2, 3, 4 5 of these things. So, hit one of those webinars, because if you liked what we talked about, they'll show it to you and you can actually see it working. The best thing to do is give it a try yourself. But, if you don't have time for that right now, attend one of the webinars, or you can do it both. Try it and then attend it and see, and learn more. So, Thomas, Raja, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and what do I say? But thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
Okay, so that concludes another successful episode of DABCC Radio. Did you enjoy it? I enjoyed it. They have I really like what Goliath is doing. They're a neat company, because they're going out there, and like I mentioned a few times, and like they mentioned, they're looking for those gaps, and they're solving them in really unique ways. You can see Raja didn't go into his background that much, but he did in a way. He started off in Citrix. He's been in Citrix his entire career, really, and so he understands from the early days on what the problems are and what he as an administrator wants, the type of data and the type of info he wants, how to resolve these issues. And they've built these technologies that way. So in return, you end up with a really great solution. And I think that's what these guys have. So definitely check it out. I think you'll like what you find. And if not, let them know. And they will probably build something in that you need, right? They learn from you. It's a really neat guys. I really like them. Good stuff. So on that note, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for listening to DABCC Radio. As always, visit the site, right? What do I say? I really enjoyed this episode. So sometimes, I'm recording it right afterwards, this piece, and what do I say? It was good stuff. So as always, head on over to www.dabcc.com for the latest and greatest virtualization news and support resources. We rebuilt the site from the ground up. It's brand new. It's easy, beautiful. I think you guys are going to love it. We have a mobile app coming very soon. I'm just waiting on resources right now. It's done. It just needs to get online. And so check out that soon. Just go to DABCC and you'll see it. And what else do I say? But if you like the episode, if you like the show in general, please tell a friend, tweet about it, and let people know you love it as much as you love it, right? If you don't like it, tell me, and I'll try to make it better for you. What else do I say? But thank you for listening to DABCC Radio.
Can you say DABCC?
DABC.
Say it again, DABCC.
DABC.
Can you say it again, DABCC?
DABC.
How about DABCC?
DABC.
DABCC.
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 DABCC.